Well, welcome everyone. It is so very exciting to have everyone here this afternoon to announce something that myself and Minister Nixon and other members of our government have been working on literally for 3 years. It's a very exciting day for myself as the MLA for beautiful Banff Kananaskis, as well as our entire province and government. As our province emerges from the COVID-19 pandemic and looks towards our future, it's critical that government not only make routine capital investments with each budget, but that we strategically make investments into infrastructure priorities that will grow and diversify Alberta's economy. When most people think of Alberta's primary industries, they tend to think of oil, gas, agriculture, forestry, but seldom is tourism or sport thought of as a primary economic driver for our province, despite the pride that most Albertans take in having the most incredibly majestic Rocky Mountains just outside their back door. That's because most jurisdictions with thriving tourism economies pride their industry on man-made attractions, museums, bright lights, and roller coasters. But here in Alberta, and especially in the Bow Valley, thanks to the God-given beauty all around us, our thriving tourism industry comes literally so naturally that we oftentimes take it for granted. Today's announcement of $17.5 million to upgrade this world-class facility that we are in is our government's way of telling literally the entire world that Alberta is a top destination for sport and recreational tourism. This is us putting our money where our mouth is and recognizing the importance and the economic benefits of investing in Alberta's tourism industry. We're here doing this announcement today at the Cross Country Ski Masters World Cup, where over 700 athletes from all over the world have descended upon our town to compete for a week. With the upgrades to the Nordic Centre soon to be announced in full, Canmore will not just be able to host these cross-country World Cups for years to come, but we will become the single only destination in all of North America eligible to host the Biathlon World Cups as well. Pretty cool. On average, each of these World Cup events has an economic impact of $5 to $7 million to our local economy, achieved through hotel bookings and restaurant visits for athletes, coaching staff, and equipment rentals. Each of these events also garner international viewership of over 30 million people, primarily from Europe, giving our beautiful province, Travel Alberta, and Tourism Canmore Kananaskis free publicity to high-spending global visitor markets. And even in times of global conflict and division, like those we live in today, these events, these World Cup events, are Alberta's chance to bring the world together and unite nations together through sport and camaraderie. Today's investment is a strategic investment to ensure that Canmore and our Rocky Mountains play a key role in Alberta's overall economic recovery and diversification. And on a feel-good level, this investment is more than just dollars and cents. Our little mountain town is special. Everyone who visits it can feel it, and a big part of that charm is this Nordic Centre. Going for a 6 a.m. ski before work or out to dinner at a fancy restaurant in a turtleneck and a toque are part of what makes Canmore, Canmore. It's also why we're one of the most sought-after markets in Canada for people to live in and enjoy a recreational work-life balance, and why we're also home to more Olympians per capita than any other place in Canada. The existence of this Nordic Centre as a pillar of our community has helped to make this town and our community what it is. And today, our government is making an investment in Alberta's tourism industry, but we're also investing in the Canmore community and our mountain culture, which holds such a special place in all of our hearts. So, to announce the full of the announcement, I am very excited to bring our Premier of the province to the podium, Mr. Jason Kenney.
Thank you so much, Miranda, for being such an incredibly passionate and effective representative of the folks in the Bow Valley Corridor. Thanks as well to Ken and Norbert here from the World Cup events. Sorry that Mayor Crosert, I think, wanted to be here but is sick today. But want to acknowledge my good friend Dave Rodney, former minister, former MLA, who is doing great work to ensure we realize the enormous potential of Alberta tourism and investment, job creation here in the corridor and all across the province. Thank you to Minister Nixon, who will be speaking in a moment. I wanted to especially thank him. He just told me that he ensured that at this facility the Russian flag was taken down and replaced with the Ukrainian flag. So thank you for that important but small but important gesture of solidarity for the people of Ukraine. And I am so happy to be here at the world-class Canmore Nordic Centre, one of the premier Nordic facilities in the world. It's especially exciting to be here this week with more than 700 skiers from 18 countries here in town to participate in the Masters World Cup. For over 3 decades, this facility has served as a training and competition destination for athletes and an economic driver for the region. Visitors from around the world come here to train and explore while taking in the magnificent landscapes of Alberta's Rocky Mountains. And at the same time, Albertans come here to participate in year-round outdoor recreation opportunities like, obviously, cross-country skiing, but also hiking, mountain biking, and trail running, and so much more. This facility truly offers something for pretty much everyone to enjoy, which is why today we are ensuring that it is here for generations to come. Alberta's government is investing $17.5 million in the Canmore Nordic Centre over the next 2 years as part of Alberta's recovery plan funded by Budget 2022. This historic investment will upgrade and enhance the facility, including redeveloping the biathlon stadium to meet international event requirements. Alberta has a long history of hosting major international events right here at the Canmore Nordic Centre, and we look forward to continuing that tradition for many years to come. In fact, the 2024 International Biathlon Union World Cup and the 2024 FIS Ski World Cup are already planned to take place here. And some more good news. These upgrades to the Canmore Nordic Centre will create 90 new jobs. So not only is Alberta's recovery plan creating jobs, it's making life better. With investments like this one, we're making sure Albertans will always have access to this little slice of winter wonderland while still attracting international tourists and competitions right here to Canmore. And let me just pause to talk about the economy, because this morning Stats Can published their February labour force survey showing that Alberta has created another net 8,200 jobs with a 0.4% decline in unemployment, a huge step down in our unemployment rate, bringing it to the lowest level it's been since September of 2019. Yet more evidence that Alberta's recovery plan is working in getting Albertans back to work. Now, one of the ways that Alberta's government is able to make this exciting announcement is because of the Kananaskis Conservation Pass. To date, the Conservation Pass has generated $12 million in revenue, and that money is being reinvested to operate facilities like this, to staff and for staff and conservation officers, for public safety, to groom winter trails, and to connect more Albertans to nature. The Kananaskis Conservation Pass also helps to pay for trail maintenance, waste management, search and rescue operations, visitor services, and specialized facilities like William Watson Lodge, reopening this June. And that is particularly for so that people with disabilities can enjoy our magnificent rocky outdoors. Kananaskis is a part of our province's heritage and identity, and that's why the K-Pass is so critical, because it ensures that we can protect and upgrade and maintain this natural wonder, so that Albertans will always be able to have the adventures of a lifetime and will be able to fall in love with this magnificent Rocky Mountain Alberta landscape. And that's because every single penny generated by the Kananaskis Conservation Pass is reinvested right here in K-Country. And let me pause to say that this was the only major park in Canada that did not have a user contribution pass like this, and that's why. That's one of the reasons why there had been a lack of investment in the maintenance and capital upgrades in this park for too long. So the pass has allowed us to make major investments to renew the facilities here, to ensure that it's properly preserved and will for many years to come. More Albertans than ever before are getting outside and exploring the province. So the K-Pass will help ensure we keep up with the growing demand for outdoor recreation and maintenance while making announcements like today's $17.5 million investment possible. Alberta's recovery plan also looks to grow our tourism industry. And that's, one of the only industries that really hasn't picked up, recovered from COVID because of federal travel restrictions. And that's why we've introduced a motion to Alberta's legislature calling on the federal government to put an end to pointless federal travel restrictions which are having no meaningful public health benefit, but which continue to hammer the hundreds of thousands of Albertans and Canadians who depend on travel and tourism industries. Now, that industry is, of course, critical to Canmore's economy and so many other places across Alberta. And that's why we've worked closely with our partners, like the Alberta World Cup Society, to deliver exceptional outdoor recreation experiences. So thanks for joining us today. And with that, I'm going to introduce Minister Nixon to give us more information.
Well, thank you, Premier, and thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm thrilled to be here today, of course, with you, Premier, as well MLA Miranda Rosen, the local MLA, and Ken and Norbert from the World Cup, to announce Alberta's investment in the Canmore Nordic Centre that has been made possible, as the Premier said, because of the Kananaskis Conservation Pass. This $17.5 million upgrade for the Canmore Nordic Centre is included in Budget 2022, and it's a great example of the much-needed improvements that are coming to Kananaskis this year. The project has been a very long time in the making. I can say from the very first day I became a Minister of Environment and Parks, MLA Rosen, the local MLA for Kananaskis, has been a tireless advocate of this project, and I want to thank her for all her hard work to get us to today. It's exciting, though, at the end of the day, to be here to be able to announce this project that will bring jobs and will bring world-class events to our great province. The investment, as mentioned, has been made possible. It would not have been made possible without the Kananaskis Conservation Pass. Last year, the Canadian Parks Council unanimously selected Alberta Parks to receive its annual Agency Award of Excellence for the introduction of the Kananaskis Conservation Pass. The Council, which includes representatives from each province and territory, as well as Parks Canada, recognized that the Conservation Pass is an innovative and sustainable solution to address complex issues that are common across Canada's park system. The K-Pass is something that we can all be proud of. It's an important initiative that is ensuring that this beautiful part of our province is sustainable for generations to come. Kananaskis Country offers premier recreation experiences, and revenues from this pass are supporting operations all across this region. To date, the pass has supported Kananaskis in many ways, including putting more boots on the ground through the hiring of 25 new conservation officers, the hiring of recreation officers and visitor services staff. We've also been able to reopen 2 visitor information centres right here in Kananaskis and reinstated the grooming of cross-country ski trails that many have enjoyed this winter season. And with the demands of millions of visitors each year, funds from the pass are supporting increased incident response services and traffic management to keep visitors safe. Since 2009, visitors to Kananaskis Country have surpassed Banff National Park, and the pass is helping to address the issues and pressures that come with more visitors experiencing our great outdoors and our beautiful backyard. With the investment in Budget 2022 made possible by Kananaskis Conservation Pass, Albertans and visitors from around the world will see improvements to facilities and services in our beautiful region. And by making conservation a priority, Alberta Environment Parks has been recognized and celebrated as an example of innovation and success by representatives from park organizations all across the country. Today's announcement is about continuing Alberta's legacy of long-term investment in Kananaskis and the Bow Valley Corridor, and ensuring that we can enjoy our beautiful backyard now and future generations can as well. And with that, I would like to return the podium back over to Miranda Rosen.
Minister Nixon's microphone is literally taller than I am. Okay, well, I have now had the distinct pleasure of taking off my MLA hat and putting on a mayor hat for a moment because our Canmore Mayor, Sean Krausert, wanted to be here so badly today, but was unable to be here. But he did give us a statement to read off, which I want to make sure is included. So on behalf of Canmore's Mayor, Mr. Sean Krausert, I am sorry to not be here with you today. Alberta's investment in the Canmore Nordic Centre upgrades is well placed and appreciated. The Nordic Centre plays an iconic role for sport in Canmore, and in both winter and summer has had a huge beneficial impact on residents, visitors, and athletes from all over the world. We are so fortunate to have this world-class facility here, and we're grateful that kids in our community have the opportunity to be inspired by the amateur and professional athletes who use it. So that's on behalf of our Mayor of Canmore, Mr. Krausert. And now I also have the incredibly distinct pleasure of welcoming to the podium two other individuals who have made this announcement possible. And those two individuals would be Norbert Meyer on behalf of the Alberta World Cup Society, as well as Mr. Ken Davies on behalf of the Biathlon World Cup Society. These two have been fiercely tireless advocates for this project, and today's announcement is as much theirs as it is ours today. I'm more of an alpine girl. I like downhill fast things because a life in politics during a pandemic apparently isn't quite enough adrenaline for me. But these two have welcomed me into the Nordic circle and into the Nordic community like I couldn't ask for. So, so excited to, I believe, welcome Ken Davies first, followed by Norbert Meyer. Do I have that right? Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda. I'm going to start by saying, and most of the people at the back of this room will know this, this is an amazing day for us. We're so happy and so proud for this decision to invest maintenance capital in the Canmore Nordic Centre. It has a huge impact on our community, has a huge impact on the events we host and the tourism dollars that drives, which a number of the speakers previously hadn't mentioned. But thanks directly to the Premier for making time to come here and make this important announcement to us. Thanks to poor Minister Nixon, who gets 100 emails a year from me or whatever, so, and his staff who are dealing with them. Also, it's this government has been a tremendous. They've been responsive. So we've had Minister Taves down here for a walkabout and understanding the economic impact. Minister Panda has participated, been here. And then we can't thank our local MLA, Miranda Rosen, enough. She's been our champion, so thank you. Lots of thanks all around. One last group to thank, the staff and management of the Canmore Nordic Centre. As a volunteer, as is Norbert Meyer, it's incredible to be able to work with people who actually want to help you succeed. They do it day in and day out, so we couldn't do this without them. So they are the tireless champions that keep this place going. So thank you. Just a couple things. We've talked a lot about, people have talked a lot about the tourism impact and the economic benefits. Those are real. Those are very real. I just want to highlight that this is also for all of Albertans, I would argue even all of Canadians. This place is used, if you looked outside, you probably saw a bunch of people going by, learning to ski, falling over, maybe some faster people, not like me, going out there and skiing. So wintertime is used all the time by all Albertans, all Albertans who choose to participate in Nordic sport. It's 350 days a year. This venue is not hosting World Cups or world events. It's hosting everyday Albertans, everyday Canadians and visitors from around the world. And so this investment is a smart investment, and not because I advocated for it. It's a smart investment by the government because we've had this facility for almost 40 years from the 1988 Olympics, and this will ensure it's around for another 40 years. So thank you.
I want to add my thanks, and thank you, Premier, especially for coming to share this really good news with us, and Minister Nixon as well. Appreciate you coming and joining us here today. And I think, Miranda, we wouldn't be standing here without you and everything you've done for us, so very much appreciated. As has been mentioned, Ken and I are volunteers, and the province's commitment to invest again in the Nordic Centre keeps us inspired to compete for hosting future World Cup events. Hosting World Cups is about many things. The economic and tourism benefits are well known, and it's obvious that World Cup events are good business. This investment will keep those benefits accruing in the future years to Canmore, the Bow Valley, and to Alberta. We're never shy about promoting the Canmore Nordic Centre as a world-class facility. When Ken and I go to Europe and speak to people from Norway and Sweden and Czech Republic and Austria, we say, well, we've got the Nordic Centre. Can you beat that? And they usually can't. So this investment will keep us, will keep the jewel in the crown of Alberta parks on a par with other leading facilities in the world, and will allow us to compete on level terms to acquire the events that are so beneficial for us. So thank you again.
That concludes the speaking portion of today's event. We're now going to move to the media Q&A. There's a media microphone right there. When you approach the microphone, please state your name, your outlet, who you'd like to ask your question to, and please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Go ahead.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me okay? Lauren Pullen with Global Calgary here for the Premier or Minister Nixon. We did go to a few trailheads this morning. Obviously, this is a great news announcement for right here, but we were asking people what they were hoping for in terms of an investment in Kananaskis. And the things that came up over and over again were more patrolling for things like garbage, trail maintenance, and more grooming with the increasing popularity of K Country. And they told us anecdotally they hadn't really noticed much of a difference with the funding from the K Country user fees, at least in the areas that they had visited. Minister, any thoughts on those ideas or any additional action there?
So those ideas are amongst the highest priority for Kananaskis. We are just finishing up the first budget year with the K-Pass in place, which not even a full year. It started this summer. And we already have seen coming online, and they're about to graduate, so there'll be another announcement on this shortly, but 20 new conservation officers that we will see on the landscape, 32 new seasonal staff that we'll see on the landscape as we go into this season. The visitor centres, of course, have come back online, and work this winter has taken place to re-engage and get cross-country ski trail and snowshoe trail grooming taking place inside Kananaskis. There's much more work to do. The reality is that our park system has been under-maintained for decades. And that's why we had to bring in the Kananaskis Conservation Pass to be able to build sustainable funding. At the same time, Alberta Environment and Parks is responsible for 60% of the actual land of our province. And there is no way that we're going to be able to fix all the problems in our system in one season. But we have set up the park system to be sustainable, and over time, people that use Kananaskis are going to see the difference. I'm very confident in that, starting particularly with increased enforcement this year.
Thanks, Minister. Lauren, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, my follow-up is for the Premier, and it is on a separate topic other than this announcement today, Premier. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced new sanctions against Russian oligarchs here, including Evra's leading stakeholder, Roman Abramovich. What is your reaction to that, Premier, and what impacts could you see this having on employees and companies locally?
Well, I've been calling on the federal government to impose the toughest possible sanctions on Russian oligarchs who have holdings in Canada and maybe close to the dictator Vladimir Putin. I'm glad to hear that they've expanded the list. I'm not aware of any major assets owned in Alberta by Mr. Abramovich or other prominent Putin backers. But if they're in this province, in terms of their investments, they should be affected as well. Immediately following the invasion of Ukraine by Putin, we reached out to the Alberta Investment Management Corporation, and they immediately began liquidating the relatively small holdings they had in Russian assets. They had about $165 million out of their $165 billion of assets under management. We also removed Russian products from the Alberta Gaming and Liquor Commission system. We, of course, passed a motion of solidarity with Ukraine in the legislature, but more importantly, have contributed $6 million to aid humanitarian relief through the Canada-Ukraine Foundation and $5 million to provide for non-lethal military equipment for the territorial defense forces of Ukraine through the World Ukrainian Congress's Stand with Ukraine campaign. We've also provided $350,000 of support to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress Alberta chapter to help them in organizing the community for humanitarian support, communications effort to rebut Russian propaganda, and also to prepare for the potential arrival of Ukrainian refugees. So Alberta has acted in more ambitiously than any Canadian province to express our concrete solidarity with the people of Ukraine. I'm glad to hear the federal government has taken those measures. But the most powerful thing the world could do to stop Putin's war machine would be a total embargo on Russian oil and gas exports. I was encouraged while in Houston this week to see President Biden make that decision. We can, here in Alberta, if the American government wants to cooperate with us, we could very easily replace more than the oil that they were bringing in from Russia and prevent them from having to go to other dictatorships with conflict oil like Iran, Venezuela, and Saudi Arabia. And so really I would call on the international community, if it is appalled as we are by the scenes of children's hospitals being bombed in Ukrainian cities, then stop buying Putin's blood oil, because every barrel of that oil is filled with the blood of innocent Ukrainians.
Thank you. Next question.
Yeah, Levi Donnelly, CTV News. This is for the Premier. Minister Savage spoke this morning about Alberta being the solution to the U.S. energy supply crunch, and Keystone XL pipeline was mentioned. To revive it, would Alberta consider buying it from TC Energy like Ottawa did for the Trans Mountain pipeline? And would you still use Russian steel, Evraz, that was delivered to the pipeline in spring of 2021?
Well, I was in Houston to convey a very similar message, the same message. I'll say that again. I was in Houston this week to convey the same message as Minister Savage. And I believe where there's a will, there's a way. And if President Biden wants to end America's addiction to conflict dictator oil, all he has to do is pick up the phone, call Prime Minister Trudeau, or I'd be happy to take his call as well, and say, look, we got it wrong on the Keystone XL veto. Let's figure out how to get that pipeline built right away. If we had that political certainty from Washington, I believe we could find a way to revive Keystone XL. Now, TC Energy, they're not going to be able to finance that now, given the political uncertainty. But to answer your question, yes, we would be prepared in principle to de-risk the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. We obviously would prefer that it be privately financed, but if the political uncertainty created by the Biden veto makes that impossible, we would be creative. And I think there is a will. I've been speaking to people in the United States Congress who understand that this is a national security imperative to get that pipeline built, 840,000 plus barrels a day, to displace dictator conflict oil. And I believe that we could be partners, potentially with the U.S. government, in de-risking the project, much in the same way that the federal government did with the Trans Mountain expansion. In terms of steel, I don't know what the current state of, look, TC Energy, and I think it's actually the Trans Mountain project you're talking about, where Kinder Morgan, before selling the project to the Government of Canada, had acquired some Evraz pipe. That's already paid for. So that's already money that's gone to the ownership group of Evraz. So I think dumping the steel is not going to have any impact on Russian steel owners. But I'll leave that to the Government of Canada. They own TC Energy. Excuse me, take that back. They own Trans Mountain expansion. Thank you.
Levi, do you have a follow-up?
I do, also for the Premier. 2 years into COVID being declared a pandemic, what have you learned about leadership in times of crisis, and what would you have done differently if you had a chance to turn back the clock to March 2020?
Well, one thing I've learned is it's a lot harder to lead through multiple once-in-a-century crises than to criticize from the sidelines. And it's a lot harder to build up than it is to tear down. I've learned that in COVID, there were no good decisions, often only terrible ones. And I've learned that Albertans really are tough and resilient. They rose to the challenge again and again. And I've also learned that we have brilliant frontline healthcare workers who have done amazing things under great stress. I guess one key policy learning is this. We need more healthcare capacity. When we came into office in 2019, we inherited the most expensive health system in Canada with the lowest per capita number of ICU beds. That served us poorly, to be frank. When we hit COVID spikes, and we had limited capacity to provide critical care in our hospitals. That's why we are investing hundreds of millions of dollars to increase the baseline number of our intensive care beds, also to get on top of these long surgical wait times through the Alberta Surgical Initiative. And I'll have more to say in the days to come about health reform, and also ensuring accountability so that Albertans get the results that they deserve in our healthcare system.
Thank you, Premier. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah. Terry Trembath, CBC. I'd like you to know that this question is not for me, it's for Janet French.
Okay.
So I just want you to know that. Word for word, we see that you have now filed the statement of defense in the defamation case launched by several environmental organizations who felt your characterization of the Allen report was defamatory. On October 21st, 2021, you tweeted that, quote, foreign-funded misinformation campaigns to landlock Alberta's resources caused untold harm for Albertans, and the Allen report proves they used a coordinated approach. Who are you saying was involved in that coordinated approach?
Well, the organizations that have campaigned to landlock Alberta energy. It's no secret that in 2008, a group of environmental organizations gathered in New York, sponsored by the Rockefeller Foundation, to plan what they called the tar sands campaign, the explicit published goal of which was to landlock additional Alberta energy exports to prevent the construction of pipelines. That's not a secret. It's not a point of contention. It's an open and obvious fact. The Allen Report details many of the ways in which that campaign paid for political intervention, legal disruption, protests, and misinformation campaigns about responsible Canadian energy production. And altogether, those efforts had a very real impact. That's what informed Justin Trudeau's decision to kill the Keystone XL pipeline, to indirectly kill the Energy East pipeline, the Biden and Obama administrations to veto the Keystone XL pipeline, and the coordinated foreign-funded tar sands campaign also led to massive delays in the approvals for the Trans Mountain expansion, which is why the federal government ultimately had to bail out Kinder Morgan. So altogether, those efforts were tragically successful at preventing the construction of new energy infrastructure, which is one of the reasons why the world is in this precarious situation of being so dependent on Vladimir Putin's energy exports. So these organizations had a coordinated effort. They knew what they were doing. They were very public and explicit about their goals. And I find it fascinating that they were willing to dump millions of dollars into political and legal efforts to undermine Canadian energy exports, and they're now shocked that somebody's actually shining a spotlight on those efforts. So obviously we're not going to apologize for simply telling the truth about what they've done. They should apologize. They should apologize for allowing the world's worst regimes to have a larger share of global energy markets.
Thank you, Premier. Terry, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, she does. If your allegations of a coordinated campaign to besmirch the reputation of Alberta oil and gas were not directed at the participants and funders named in the Allen Report, then who were you referring to?
Well, I think there's hundreds of organizations mentioned in the Allen Report, and so I'm not going to go through a detailed analysis of each one. You can read the Allen Report for yourself if you'd like to. The point is that there has been a 14-year-long coordinated campaign under the broad umbrella of the tar sands campaign, which began at that conference sponsored by the Rockefeller Brothers Foundation. And this is not a secret. This is a matter of obvious public record. These organizations that funded lawsuits to delay Trans Mountain, ultimately they lost in the Supreme Court of Canada. Ultimately, the Supreme Court of Canada said that the Crown's duty to consult First Nations, for example, had been fully discharged. But in the meantime, we lost about 3 years on that project in massive uncertainty, which is why Kinder Morgan bailed. Many of these organizations were involved in third-party campaigns to encourage strategic voting in the 2015 election in swing ridings in the Vancouver and Greater Toronto areas to elect a majority of MPs who would support killing the Keystone XL pipeline. That's part of their explicit goal. You know, there's a variety of organizations with a variety of approaches and tactics. I'd like to know, for example, who was behind and who helped to fund the clearly coordinated and well-planned violent attack on construction workers in northern BC last month, where some 24 well-equipped radicals equipped with axes attacked construction workers, including Indigenous security guards, at a Coastal GasLink project. So these efforts from various groups continue to this day. They are undermining Canada's vital economic interests, and now we can see clearly with the invasion of Ukraine that they are also, perhaps unwittingly, undermining global peace and security.
All right, we have one more journalist here today. Go ahead.
Thanks. Greg Colgan from the Rocky Mountain Outlook, based here in Canmore. I'm not sure who this would go to, but obviously over the next 2 years there's going to be a lot of construction happening here. Is there some type of a breakdown for a schedule on how that could possibly impede locals using the facility? Like what would go first, what would go last, anything like that?
I don't have the exact breakdown. There will be construction taking place, and obviously there'll be impacts. We have a variety of Alberta Environment Parks officials in the back, and we could probably get you a little one-on-one time with them if you want to get a little more detailed as to the construction process. But certainly you're going to see lots of activity taking place in Kananaskis and frankly across the entire provincial park system this year, as we invest $120 million this year in Alberta parks, both on the operating and on the capital side.
And do you have a follow-up, Greg?
I do, yeah. Obviously in the release it stated that there would be 90 jobs created by this. I don't think it's any secret that Canmore is one of the most expensive places to live in the country. Do you know what type of jobs those will be? Will they be full-time? Will they be contract, part-time? Because there was a report about 3 months ago on the living wage in Canmore needing to be $37 an hour. So
we would be happy, again, so I already see some of my officials in the back nodding. We'll get you some one-on-one time for the details of jobs as well as construction schedules and those type of questions.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our press conference.